Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for joining the InduSoft Solutions for Building Automation webinar. My name is Fabio Teresino. I work with InduSoft for about 12 years. And just to present a quick agenda here, I'll give a brief overview about InduSoft. I believe most of you know InduSoft, so I'll be quite brief on this overview. Then I'll talk a little bit about the building automation market, the trends that we see in the markets, and the solutions, the features that we implemented in the product to meet the demand from the market, and talk about the advantages of the InduSoft solution for building automation. Then I will show some template applications that we developed over the past years and made them available to download from our website. And then I will show and talk a little bit about real-world solutions, real projects developed and deployed within the InduSoft Web Studio by different partners around the world. Some of them are attending to this webinar. And then I will give control to the engineer Anthony Estrada from the University of Texas in Austin. And he's going to demonstrate one real solution developed within the InduSoft Web Studio and deployed at the University of Texas to monitor thousands of meters, different types of meters, in hundreds of buildings around the campus. And he's going to talk about the background, the situation before InduSoft was used as a solution for building automation at the University of Texas. He's going to talk about the solution itself, what the application does. He's going to show the application, demonstrate the real application to you during the webinar. Then he's going to mention the benefits perceived by UT, achieved by UT after implementing the systems, and discuss a little bit the plans for the future, the enhancements they plan to implement in the system to increase the benefits even more for the future. My presentation should take about 30 minutes or so, and Anthony should take about 15 minutes, so we should have a few minutes at the end for Q&A. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please write them on the chat from the WebEx panel, and I'll be reading your questions and answering all of them or most of them as time permits at the end of the presentation. So first of all, a brief overview about the company. InduSoft is in business since 1997, and the product has been developed and is evolving since then. So it's a very mature solution, but we have always aggregated, incorporated new technologies, new interfaces to the product. So even though it's based on a very robust and mature base, it takes advantage of modern and new technologies. And InduSoft has always been a pioneer in the industry. We were the first company in the world to release an HMI software for Windows CE. And not only that, but we created the concept for HMI SCADA to have one single development environment, create the application once, and deploy this application on any platform, on any Windows platform. And in building automation, it's extremely important because typically you have many different ways to interact with the system. In some cases, you need PDAs, mobile devices. You need local HMIs to control specific areas, and many times a control room to have a holistic view about the building or the whole system. So the capability, the portability offered by InduSoft, the ability for you to reuse components and deploy applications or portions of applications on different devices with different resolutions and different operating systems is a great advantage when you are creating systems for building automation. InduSoft also was one of the first companies to design a web-based application for a visualization system for the SCADA system. And back in 1997, the product was designed from the ground up with the idea to have the application running on the runtime station. However, to provide the ability for remote users to visualize the application and even execute controls based on the privileges from the security system and access the application from any remote station with a web browser. Could be mobile devices, PDAs, cell phones, or regular computers with Internet Explorer. And recently, we invested heavily in database connectivity. We even own a patent on this technology. So from InduSoft Web Studio, you can save and retrieve data from any SQL relational database, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, Sybase, even a simple Excel or Access file. And those solutions, those features combined, make InduSoft a unique, powerful solution for building automation. We have several certifications. We are Microsoft Gold Certified Partner for many years now. We are members of the OPC Foundation, and we received several awards over the years as a recognition of the quality of the products and also the services offered by InduSoft. InduSoft headquarters are in Austin, Texas, where we provide technical support for the Americas and also where we have the management of the company. And we have also offices in South America and Europe for local sales and technical support, as well as a huge network of system integrators and distributors all over the world. Talking a little bit about the building automation market, this research came from Markets and Markets. According to them, the building automation control systems market is estimated to generate around $41 billion in 2011, and they expect it to generate $82 billion in 2016, and an estimated compounded annual growth rate of 14.8% from 2011 to 2016. So I believe everybody has read in the news, in the newspaper, and have seen in the industry increasing demand for solutions for building automation. And this demand is pretty much translated into numbers here, and it shows there is a huge opportunity to create solutions and to capitalize from those solutions, creating products and applications and projects for building automation. And InduSoft has followed some trends in the market and enhanced the product specifically to provide a unique and ideal tool to fulfill the demands from those trends. Like, for instance, rising energy costs are changing the way we build. So we are seeing more and more utilities connected to the facilities. So in building automation, many times we read data from meters, from the electrical system. Even in large detention systems, we have integration between the doors control and the water and wastewater in the water system, the fire alarms, surveillance. So there is always an integration between the building automation per se and the utilities around the building. Renewable energy is an increasing market as well, and somehow it's related to building automation because we're seeing more and more buildings and facilities powered by renewable energy sources like solar panels, wind turbines, and we have developed drivers and templates and objects and libraries of symbols to be able to read information from those devices and monitor the power, the energy provided by those sources. And it's always important to measure the cost behind those operating equipment and find out and measure how much energy they are generated based on the cost associated to them, and find ways to improve the efficiency and the quality of the energy. And also there are several government initiatives and a lot of incentives to eliminate or reduce as much as possible carbon footprint to create green automation, like they say, green buildings. And all those initiatives are driving investments for automation. There is also a demand for more control. So, for instance, in stores, InduSoft has deployed applications for a large franchising in United States for food, and they use InduSoft to control the lights and control the HVAC system to make sure they can reduce the energy consumption on the off-peak hours and during the night when the stores are not operating, and everything is controlled from a central station. They create the schedule and they control all those stores remotely, and they could achieve a very significant savings in energy just by controlling a few equipment like lights and the air conditioning automatically. And they can change the set points manually or even create the schedule to change it automatically over the time and plan for holidays, weekends, or any other events. There are many different areas increased concerns about security. So in InduSoft, we have developed many drivers and interfaces where you can integrate identification systems, whether they are barcode readers, RFID readers, biometric systems like digital readers or things like that. So we have an open architecture to read information from those IDs, and then we have a complete security system where you can configure on the fly during the runtime access control to different users based on the built-in security system from InduSoft. And either you can use the built-in local security system from InduSoft or just link it. Click one checkbox to link it with the security system from your Active Directory and share the users and groups from your Active Directory, from your Windows network. And we have a built-in event logger, so you can track all the actions, all the access to the different buildings, the different rooms, and create reports that can be filtered and generated on the fly to track the access to any person at any room, any building, at any time. InduSoft provides a fully integrated solution. That's a way that we differentiate, again, from the competitors, and many customers are demanding that. Instead of having many different packages that you have to install, license, and integrate individually, in InduSoft we have a single environment, a single development environment, and all the tools that you need to create a complete building automation are pretty much built in one tool, in InduSoft Web Studio. Everything to execute the equipment, control, manual control, or scheduling for the lights, for the HVAC system, energy management system, so all the tools to collect data about the power generation, the power consumption, save this data to databases and generate dashboards, create OE reports, interfaces for surveillance and security. We are an ActiveX container, so you can display live images from cameras on the screen and control any kind of equipment in the building from InduSoft Web Studio. And there is recently a very strong push toward cloud-based connectivity. The whole idea is to provide access to the information to the users anywhere from mobile devices or regular computers. So in InduSoft, we have built-in tools to send remote notification via email or SMS. So whenever critical alarms happen, InduSoft can send those remote notifications. We support different types of thin clients. We are recently evolving our SMA solution, Studio Mobile Access Solution, for iPhones, iPads, and Androids. I'm going to talk about this in details in another slide here. Support for different mobile platforms in cloud-based system. In a few months here, we're going to have another webinar talking specifically about cloud-based solutions deployed within the InduSoft Web Studio. But pretty much in InduSoft, we have the ability to read data from remote systems, consolidate this information in a cloud-based system, and provide access to this information to remote users using a web browser, and filter the information available to each user based on user username and password. So based on those trends, I just put together here a few advantages that InduSoft Web Studio provides. First of all, it's an easy-to-use HMI SCADA MES OEE solution. So like I said before, all the tools are integrated in a single development environment, and we keep increasing the library of symbols and creating templates and enhancing the templates, so you do not have to create everything from the scratch. You can start from a template and build up on top of it. And in the very near future, we're going to create an area in our website where different users, where different system integrators can post their own templates, their objects, their solutions, and share it with each other. Something similar to the Apple Store, but specifically for InduSoft Web Studio components and objects. And applications created with InduSoft are supported across all the Microsoft operating systems, 32 or 64 bits, which gives you a very important scalability and portability in the product. And we also, so here we run on any Microsoft operating system from Windows CE to Windows Server 2008. We have even recently tested the product with the beta version of Windows 8, and it has been successful so far. And we have the commitment to keep the product compatible with any operating system released and supported by Microsoft in the market, from operating systems to mobile devices, local HMIs, embedded systems, desktop systems, all the way up to servers. And we have also kept 100% of compatibility with applications created in previous versions, which is quite important, especially to protect the investment that you made when you created applications with InduSoft Web Studio and increase your return on investment. Make sure that you do not have to redesign the system whenever you have to upgrade to a newer version or move this application to a new platform, to a new operating system. So we have the commitment to keep 100% of compatibility with applications created in any previous versions of the product. Database connectivity. From InduSoft, you can save and retrieve data from any SQL relational database using standard technologies like ODBC, OLEDB, ADO, ADO.NET. Some examples here are SQL Server, Oracle, Sybase, MySQL, and we have many customers that created templates or standard applications that can be deployed on different end users. And if the end user decides to use a different database, all they have to do is change one setting, even during the runtime, and the whole application is compatible with the new database. So it's very simple to modify one application to use Oracle instead of SQL Server, or SQL Server instead of MySQL, and so on and so forth. You have this layer of abstraction, which makes very simple for you to save and retrieve data from any SQL relational database, and the configuration is extremely simple. You do not have to write scripts, you do not have to know any complicated details about the SQL language per se. And all the tools for redundancy and store and forward methods are built in the product, allowing you to save and retrieve alarm history, event history, trend history, or any kind of process in OEE data. Here I just put a few examples of dashboards created by customers with InduSoft, saving and retrieving data from databases. And Anthony is going to show the dashboards that UT developed for their particular project. Talking about connectivity, over the past 12, 13 years, InduSoft has developed more than 240 native communication drivers. We have the source code for all those drivers. We provide technical support on the source code level for all those drivers. InduSoft is probably the last major SCADA vendor that provides this benefit to the users. And we have developed specific drivers for standards in building automation, like the drivers for the BACnet protocol, Modbus, RTU and ASCII, Modbus over TCP/IP for the Johnson Controls N2 protocol, GNP3 and IEC 60870-5-104 for electrical areas, but since utilities are being integrated to building automation, in many cases you need those drivers to bring information from the electrical system. So all those drivers are available in the product. And in addition to that, we have a partnership with Matricom. And InduSoft is able to provide InduSoft Web Studio along with additional OPC servers from Matricom for different protocols like Loanworks, UNX, Johnson Control N1 and N2, PowerLogic, and so on and so forth. In addition to that, in InduSoft we have a standard OPC client interface compliant with different standards, including OPC-DA, OPC-XML, OPC.NET, and OPC-UA. So again, it's an open architecture, and we provide several tools allowing you to bring data, consolidate data from different data sources, different equipment with different protocols, and then manipulate this data in a seamless way in InduSoft Web Studio. Talking about the deployment, in InduSoft you develop the application in any Windows desktop or server computer, and then you can either run the application locally or deploy this application, and you have many different options to deploy the application. You can download the application to local HMIs on the plant floor, or to computers in the control room, or to embedded devices or mobile devices, mobile controllers running Windows CE or Windows Embedded Operating System. In many cases, some blind devices that do not even provide a local display, a local HMI, but they are running InduSoft Web Studio, collecting data from the devices and saving data to databases. And you can deploy InduSoft on the cloud as well, a private cloud on your premises, or even a public cloud like Rackspace or Amazon, and run the application, run InduSoft Web Studio from an external cloud. And then you can visualize the information not only from the station running the application, but from remote stations where you do not have to install InduSoft. They are the thin client stations. The web thin client stations is where you use a web browser, Internet Explorer, to visualize the application. From a regular PC, an embedded device, or even PDAs and cell phones running Windows CE Mobile 6.5. The Secure Viewer solution is when you install a thin client component from InduSoft called Secure Viewer, and when you run it, it connects to the runtime station, and you have access to all screens and online data and history data from the thin client station, even though you do not have to install InduSoft nor the application on the Secure Viewer station. And since the screen runs in full screen mode, the user does not see the scroll bars, the toolbars from the browser, so it's ideal, for instance, to kiosks in buildings that display information about that particular building or that particular area. In the Studio Mobile Access is the solution for non-Microsoft devices like Androids, iPads, iPhones, and the current solution allows you to visualize and even change tag values in real time, and allows you to visualize and acknowledge alarms also in real time. And we are improving the solution, evolving the solution right now to add additional graphical capabilities to the solution, to monitor online trained and history trained, see graphical screens on the device, and visualize even dashboards on a non-Microsoft device using just a web browser. And InduSoft has a built-in security system, so even though from the technology point of view, you can make any information available to remote thin clients and even allow remote thin client users to control the application, when you develop the application, you can design the security system and protect your application in a way that only authorized users are able to visualize or modify what you allow them to do or not to do. So we have a very flexible security system where you can give different access levels to different users. Template applications. I'm going to really quick here to the InduSoft website. So I'm going to open the browser. And when you go to InduSoft.com, there is a link here to building automation and energy management. And from the website, you have a link to download this template application. And I have installed here in my computer just to demonstrate for you. This is the template for building automation. So you can use this application as a base for your application and customize it as you need. So you have several linked symbols to different types of equipment, like lightning with controls to turn things on and off, elevators where you can monitor where each elevator is and even trigger controls, escalators to go up, down, stop, enable, disable, HVAC systems where you can change the set point and monitor the actual temperature on the fly. Even surveillance cameras where you can monitor online video streaming from different IP cameras. InduSoft is an ActiveX container and .NET control container, so you can monitor this information from any camera that provides an ActiveX control or ActiveX control. I can simulate some fire here, and then you see the sprinkler system going on as well. Can reset the fire here, and then you can control the sprinkler as well. We created some generic screens where you can filter the equipment by type and control each one of those devices at a glance during the runtime. So for instance, for lights, I can click on this particular light and turn this light on or off, click on that one and control on or off. So you can see in a tabular manner all the equipment and control them in a very efficient way. We have a generic schedule module here that can be customized, but it can be used as an example here. So you can create new events, like for instance, I want to turn on all the lights on weekends at 9:20 a.m., for example. Then I add this action to the schedule, and then whenever those actions are executed, InduSoft logs the action here. So not only you can create the schedule, but you also have traceability about all the commands executed automatically by InduSoft. We have a complete alarm management system. You can monitor the online alarms and the history of alarms, and you can even configure InduSoft to send alarms by email or SMS messages, as well as the trained solution where you can customize the pens that you display during the runtime, and the look and feel of those pens, visualize history data, and even generate reports based on the trained. So all these capabilities are available in this generic template that you can download from the InduSoft website. And if you go to solutions, you have also this OEE dashboard, which is a generic template for OEE dashboards, and one of the industries where it can be applied would be building automation. So here I have an example as well. You can select different areas here, different buildings, whatever, and see the target and the actual value for the OEE in that particular area. And all those screens are just examples. They're just templates. And if you download them, you can customize and modify them according to your needs. Talking a little bit about real-world solutions, and we have case studies about all those solutions and many others available to download from our website. But just to point out a few ones here, the Paulista shopping mall is one of the largest shopping malls in Latin America, and they use InduSoft to monitor and control the whole shopping mall. Anything from the lightings, the escalators, the elevators, all the pumping water for the building, alarm and fire alarm system, and they control everything from the control room, and they have web access as well. So if something urgent happens, Authorized users can remotely access the system and control the shopping mall. So it's a very complete, typical building automation system, completely designed with InduSoft Web Studio. American Water Heater is specialized in designing systems to control vapor water and heating systems for water. So they created several templates and objects and typical screens to control the heating water system for the whole facility. And they were able to improve the efficiency of the system and reduce the downtime with the alarm management system after deploying the system with the application with InduSoft Web Studio. We have Retel in Switzerland. It is a great partner of InduSoft, and they have extremely expertise in applications for pharmaceutical area, and they designed several systems compliant with the FDA 21 CFR Part 11 for building automation and access control in different types of hospitals, buildings, pharmaceutical companies, where they also monitor the temperature and different variables of the building on the fly. And they designed a very nice template with InduSoft, and every new project they developed, they pretty much customize the template according to the needs from the customers. And they use the alarm management system, the event logger from InduSoft, the interface to databases, the trend control, and all the tools required to create applications compliant with the FDA 21 CFR Part 11 required for food and beverage and also pharmaceutical industries. First Mile in Russia developed some projects for hospitals where they control all the variables in hospitals, everything from temperature with the HVAC systems, control the alarms, the electrical system, redundancy. So a very a system with very high reliability applied to hospitals with InduSoft Web Studio. DosaPac did something similar, but for schools, where they control all the access control for specific areas in the school. They also have a schedule screen that you can see here, where they can plan the temperature for the period where there are classes going on, when there are not classes going on, and they could achieve extremely high levels of efficiency and economy savings after deploying the system in several schools in Europe. Hiline was an interesting system deployed actually on local HMIs running Windows CE on the school district of Umatilla. And the main concern there was that there are some facilities where they destroy chemical weapons close to this district. So the government pretty much created a program to prevent accidents and to protect the schools in case of accidents or any kind of leaking from the chemicals. So they have one Windows CE HMI running the InduSoft Web Studio at each school, and if an accident happens, authorized users can immediately from the school trigger commands from the HMI to close all the windows, to close the ventilation system, to recirculate air within the school, and all those HMIs are connected to a control system remotely, and from a web browser. Authorized users can also trigger controls to protect all the schools remotely, automatically in real time if an accident is detected. Home automation. Now we're going to talk about a few sub-niches of building automation, and home automation is one of them. We have customers using InduSoft to create not building, but actually home automation systems, usually in smaller scale, running in embedded devices or even in local HMIs. And from their web browser, in their cell phones, or even in their computers, they can even when they are traveling abroad, monitor what's going on, receive alarms if someone breaks in the house, control the lights on and off from anywhere, even from cell phone, and monitor the energy consumption month after month, and detect problems like water leaking or even energy increasing consumption and things like that. So InduSoft, you have all the tools even to create systems for home automation. Stadium automation is another area where InduSoft has succeeded. This particular screenshot is from a product, I would say a kind of template application developed by Tote Security in the UK, and they deployed the system in more than 24 stadiums across Europe, including stadiums from Chelsea and Liverpool soccer teams. And from InduSoft Web Studio, they are able to access and control the gates and control how many people are in each area of the stadium. And if there is an emergency like a terrorist attack or any other event where they have to evacuate the stadium, they control all the gates and they control the whole evacuation procedure through InduSoft Web Studio, also with remote access through a web browser. Finally, the detention system is an area where InduSoft has been extremely successful. In just a matter of a few years, we went from 0 to about 40% of market share in this particular market and increasing. So probably, hopefully, we'll get to close to 100% in a few years to come. And InduSoft has evolved the product and created several tools like linked symbols, alarm management system, redundancy tools, cascade redundancy tools, which are required for this kind of system. So we have many different applications. I've said at this point, hundreds and hundreds of applications applied in different detentions around the U.S. This is another example developed by Sierra Detention. They have dozens and dozens. Only this system integrator alone has dozens and dozens of systems deployed in different detention systems. And from InduSoft, they control the whole jail. Anything from opening and closing doors, surveillance systems, intercom communication, alarm systems, fire, duress. So everything is pretty much controlled by InduSoft Web Studio. And InduSoft is approved by the FBOP, Federal Bureau of Prisons, as a valid solution, as an approved solution for detention systems. And now I'll pass control to Anthony from the University of Texas, and he will demonstrate the application developed with InduSoft at the University of Texas, and he'll talk a little bit about the background scenario, demonstrate the InduSoft solution, talk about the benefits they achieved with this InduSoft project, and talk about their plans to enhance the system in the future. So just 1 minute. I'm going to pass control to Anthony. Okay, Anthony. So feel free to start whenever you are ready.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Like Fabio said, I'm with the University of Texas at Austin. Give you a little background on our system before we installed the IWS, InduSoft solution. Basically, we had a need to automate our data collection for utility meters on campus. And as he stated before, we have over 100 buildings, and each building has 4 to 5, 6 meters per building. This equals, thousands of tags that we have to basically pull from. So what we ended up with was several different systems to look at, several different ways to look at this data. None of them were integrated. We had several different users using several different methods to look at the data. So our system did not flow very well, and it was kind of a headache for people to get together and talk about data because it's coming from different sources. One of the things we did on our end was consolidate to a certain data collection type, such as an OPC server. We also consolidated to one historian. So those two things we worked out. We had data in two different sources now. We needed an interface for that. The solution we had worked for some people, didn't work for everyone. That's kind of what led us to InduSoft. We needed a web solution. So basically what we were able to do with InduSoft is create that web application that was able to bring this data in. But before I scroll through here, I can tell you that we had some specific needs, and like I just mentioned, accessibility over the web was key. We had to have that because we had so many different users, users ranging from the guys who actually install the meters for this utility system. They install the meter and verify the meter, throughout the years. They maintain these meters. So these guys need access all the time. We have students here on campus that are constantly doing different energy studies. They wanted access to this data. We have different building managers, different engineers doing energy analysis themselves that needed access to this data. So we ended up, with a small project growing into a very large, complex project. And once the word was out that we had this data, more and more people lined up to get access, and that's still occurring to this day. So we're going to have to think of new ways and more ways to develop this application to get the data to the end users. So accessibility, scalability, and then the need for a robust application. Most of the users are here during the regular business hours during the day using the application. However, we do have 24-hour control rooms that are manned. That a lot of the data that's presented on these in this application is very critical to plant operations, to building operations. So this application, the need that we had was for something to be robust enough to work all the time. So that's kind of some of the background on what our needs were, and what we had before was a real fragmented system. So with that being said, let me go ahead and scroll through some of our screens here, assuming everybody can see this. Let's see here. Okay, so we have our campus layout. We developed a method so that users can filter buildings that they want to look at by these zones here on the left. And these are all something that people here on campus are used to. This map is based on a map that's been used for a while. So we basically incorporated the a system that people are already used to into this application for navigation. But for example, like I mentioned, the installers are the maintenance guys who support the meter installations. They have a need to be able to see, for example, all of the meters for a particular building. This is something that we did not have before. One of the things that I do want to mention here is that when you're looking at the screen, this is a lot of data points coming in here. It's a mix between OPC real-time data and historical data. So not only can installers or maintenance people look at real-time values for meters that they may be working on or have just installed, energy analysts can look at this very page and see what's been done over a previous month period on a particular meter. So this kind of layout that we have here, it does a couple of things. It brings a lot of data to the page at one time, and because of that allows diverse group of people to access this page and get the information that they need. It's got several features that we built in just for the installers and the maintenance guys. For example, when we install a meter, we will verify that meter, over a process of many days, verifying that the meter is actually reading correctly. Once that is done, we will verify the meter, and it will show up on this dashboard. So I'm going to kind of jump around here a little bit, but part of what we were able to do with InduSoft is utilize some of their user security login stuff, or create a matrix basically where we can have different levels of users. And so a user that does not need to see an unverified meter will not see it. So some of those users that are further down the stream only get data that is verified and we can vouch for. However, the guys who are installing the stuff will see everything. So it's kind of a nice thing that we were able to do with the IWS system. Again, you also see the little real-time trend here. We have users that are out in the buildings who actually are responsible for just one building per se. They utilize these little real-time trends to see how their building is operating, and it's a small snapshot, but it's a lot of information that they need, real time. So that's something that we've added to this screen. If we move along here, another very important thing for another type of user, this data that you see here is, we call it total building usage, and what that is say you have utility meters that serve or installed in a certain building. You have a lot of times you'll have a main master meter and then a sub meter. Those relationships are important when they're trying to understand, how much energy is being consumed in a certain building. So we have to sort out, okay, what meter belongs to this building, and so on and so forth. The short of it is that this data is comprised in a historian, consolidated in a historian, and then we are able to display it on this screen. And at a glance, if you look at these two areas here, they should have this inverse relationship here. And so at a glance, an energy analyst can look at this and know how this building is performing. You have chilled water data and you have steam usage. So this is the correct, this is how these bar graphs should look. So this has been valuable information for building users and some of the energy guys to analyze certain buildings. And because of this, I mean, we utilized basically SQL Server connection to our historian to get this data back. All that was done through InduSoft, and let's see here. Yep. So it brings me back to another point that I wanted to mention, is that we have a GE historian, and it's not the friendliest thing to work with. We were able to work with the InduSoft staff to get data out of our historian, and it was a pretty big deal, because that GE historian is not a typical historian. It's not like SQL or whatever. It's got its own special language almost to get data out of it. We were able to do that and utilize the personnel at InduSoft to help us with that. So that's going to benefit us in the future. We go forward to expand this application. We've kind of got all of that work done already. Back on this screen here, not only do we have this data, the OPC data, we've got the historical data. We're able to trend items as well with this screen. And that again pulls right out of our historian. Another screen I wanted to show, which is very important as well. This is basically put here for another user. Being the utility department, we do some utility billing, and that group utilizes this screen to basically do a bulk query of our historian and get all of the pertinent variables that they need to consolidate their billing once a month. So this screen was able to come in handy in that regard. Users can do this, and again, all of this is done over the web. It's available to anyone who's here on campus on the UT network. This is another thing that we had to, work with not only our IT groups here on campus, but we needed InduSoft's support in getting this thing out to the web because of the nature of UT's network being a very locked down network. So we were able to have that support from InduSoft as well. But this is an example of, this screen is an example, I guess, or this HMI is an example of something that we built that serves many different users. When we started it, we had, only a small group of users in mind, really, the installers, the guys who had to maintain the meters. That was really the focus. Then it grew into this bigger thing, and we were able to meet all of those needs. And again, like I mentioned, there's going to be more changes that we can do to continue to serve, our internal customers here. Basically, let's see, there's a few other screens here that we're able to show, come across here, that this is all data that, before this system, we had things from manual meter reading, guys writing down numbers and then entering them to Excel, sending Excel sheets out to everyone to look at. So this system kind of helped us consolidate not only our meter reading, but the historical aspects of this data, that streamlined the whole billing process really, because the billing department can look at this data now and check it against their other data. Also, like this screen that I have up, these are variables that pertain to the utilities, the power plants here on campus. This is not stuff that's ever been available. This data has never been available to anyone outside the utilities department. Now we're bringing that over, and the rest of the campus users can see this data, and they can use this. We'll have more of these screens coming over, as there are more interested parties. They're asking for more and more data. So a lot of the plant data that we have kind of locked in a private network will be ported out through InduSoft and out to a public network. So that's kind of something that we have planned in the future here. Some other important variables here for our chilling station operations. They use this screen quite often to assist in running the chilling station plants. So that's with that. Fabio, are you there? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I heard a click there. That's kind of our application there in a nutshell. Some of the things that the ways that we benefit, I mentioned earlier, is that this thing is consolidated now. It's streamlined. Before we had several different ways to look at the data. Nobody was sure if they all which one was correct or whatever. But now we've streamlined our operation. This HMI has helped in that endeavor. Some of the plans that we have in the future, project that we're actually working on right now with InduSoft, is filling another need that really traditionally in industrial controls or in building automation, it's in my opinion, it's a weak area for most software packages, and it's trending. One of the things that we have right now that we're working on is a trend application for our utilities power plant. And this is something where we have a GE prophecy historian that we'll be pulling data out of. We're doing this already, but we're able to offer, the operators of the power plant and other engineers the ability to trend data over the web through IWS or through a secure viewer. And this is something that we haven't been able to do in this plant effectively without compromising some of our other systems. And so we're kind of working on that right now. We're in the first phase of that trend project, and it's worked out well. But the fact that we can go after data in the historian, it takes the load off of the typical way that trending is done with some of our other solutions, some of our other automation systems that may access a PLC directly for data, and then we have to set up another database to log that data. That's really something that we wanted to go away from. So we needed to be able to connect to our historian. And again, the work that we did with this metering system and figuring out how to, effectively talk to the GE Prophecy Historian has helped in this new project for trending. So that's one thing that we have on the horizon with InduSoft right now, is to complete the trend project. Let's see.
Oh, Anthony, thank you so much for the presentation. It was excellent. I participated of the design of the system in a few phases, but I confess, even I learned something new here. So thank you very much for the excellent explanation there.
Okay, thank you.
And just to conclude here, we have just a few minutes for questions. Let me just get control back. There we go. So just one question here is if the SMA solution would work on BlackBerry devices, and the answer is yes. The current SMA solution would work on any mobile device with any web browser, anything from Windows CE, Windows Phone 7, Blackberries, Androids, iPads, iPhones, tablets. So the current SMA solution is completely cross-platform. It would work on any device with a web browser. Another question here is on the building management system, if it is possible to display live images from cameras, streaming images from cameras. And the answer is yes. We have several projects where it has been done. And usually customers use IP-based cameras. And the camera manufacturer provides a ActiveX control or .NET control that can be easily integrated to InduSoft Web Studio to display live images from the cameras. And depending on the features provided by the camera manufacturer, you can even control the camera, pan, tilt, or zoom the camera from InduSoft Web Studio. So the answer is yes. You can display live images from InduSoft. Another question is why the reason we mentioned Matricom a part of other OPC vendors. Actually, InduSoft is a generic OPC client, provides generic OPC client modules, so you can use any OPC server as long as the OPC server complies with the OPC specification. But a few years ago, InduSoft had a partnership, created a agreement with Matricom where we can sell a package with InduSoft Web Studio and specific OPC servers from Matricom as an integrated solution. So even though you can use any OPC server you want and integrate it to InduSoft using the built-in OPC servers or OPC clients from InduSoft, you can purchase specific OPC servers from Matricom for building automation directly from InduSoft, and there are some commercial advantages of doing that. There is one question here, what PLC I recommend for building automation? That's a hard one to answer because different projects have pretty much different needs, and We have worked with, depending on the market, for instance, in detention, we have worked a lot with the home-run PLCs. They are pretty much the standard for that industry. In other industries, we have worked a lot with back-off PLCs as well. We have developed more than 240 native communication drivers to different PLCs, different manufacturers. Eaton has been used in many different industries as well. So it really depends on what is your needs and what's the best support that you get in your region. But from InduSoft, we have a very, very open architecture to exchange data with many different PLCs from different manufacturers. So we're a little bit over time here. And just one last question, I think, for you, Anthony. They are asking if the University of Texas can export energy reports.
Yes, we have set up, for example, the billing screen that I had shown with, which was basically a bulk query of our historian. That's all exportable data that can be configured a little bit. Of course, trending. You pull up a trend, different pins that you want on there, date ranges and everything. That's all exportable to Excel form. So those are the two types of reports we do currently.
Thank you. So there are other questions here, but I'm afraid we do not have more time. So we are going to send this PowerPoint presentation to everybody, and I'm going to answer each one of the remaining questions here individually to everybody. But for the time being, I'd like to just provide you with the contact for InduSoft. You can find this information on the website. And more importantly, just thank you, everybody, for participating on this webinar. And I hope to see you soon on the upcoming webinars with InduSoft Web Studio. And special thanks for you, Anthony, for a great presentation and for joining us on this webinar. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.